this is evident by vision, by nature. There is an ongoing and unsolved racism issue that exists presently within the space of North America, and it pains me to say how much the system fabricates this by proposing an idea of a country that visions itself as multicultural, as diverse, as accepting of immigrants, promising integration. Unfortunately, we're not able to find that solution. Till this day, people of color are still amongst the lowest income citizens. Often they're not even classified as citizens. Often we have a problem where we are proposed with these amendments, these laws, these policies put in place that are designed to protect us from systematic oppression. But when a situation comes into play where there has been an instance where unfortunately we weren't entitled to these rights, there is no justified action, there is no justified cause by the government. And one thing I've learned is the government, the neighbors, they cannot solve this problem of color. The only person and the only people who can solve it are the people of color who unite, who become team-oriented and focused on fighting for their rights. Too many times, there are situations that just get brushed under the carpet, life-threatening situations, and there is no justified action followed up. What we need to do is accept the fact that we do not belong here. There is no rich person alive within the setting of America who will come to terms with the fact of accepting an immigrant as their equal. The only way to get a sense of equality is to firmly ground the roots of where we came from, where we belong, and most importantly, unite with our country, with our people, with our culture. The state of the colored person in the Western world is very close to non-existent. There is a low population of colored people in the top performing schools, and as a result, we are often forced into going to schools that reside in the ghetto. There is a low performance of colored people within the workforce, or let me say at minimum the middle class workforce. So as a result, we're forced to work minimum wage jobs, and ironically doing more labor than those who make twice more than us, 3 times more than us, 4 times more than us. The problem is still ongoing. And unfortunately, for the longest time, I sat back and I said, let me wait for the government, let me wait for some intervention. That intervention did not come. I had to search myself and start to say, let me put things into perspective. And one thing I realized is the only way to truly come about and find remedy from this situation is to solve the problem by educating myself, by learning about my worth, and most importantly, fighting when necessary. Now, I'm not a violent person and I do not condone I do not promote violence. But there's a line that has to be drawn when somebody puts their hands on any person of color with no good intent. That is game over. Whether that's the police, whether that's a quote-unquote law-abiding citizen. You could read about all these stories in the news and they happen on a daily, if not weekly basis. Colored people being horribly discriminated against, racial slurs, life-threatening situations. And we don't need to go into detail because I believe everybody, at least 90% of people watching this, are intelligent enough to understand that the problem has been going on since the historic roots of North America built its foundation upon the oppression of colored people. Now, my advice to everyone is to not stop until you get a affirmed solution that you are looking for. The schools won't teach you. Yeah, they'll say everybody's equal. There is no teacher, there is no parent, there is no community alive, and take my word for this, within a middle class neighborhood at least, that will want to integrate with newly arrived immigrants or low income citizens. You're not even classified as a citizen if you don't accept the fact that there is a specific group of people in power that do not want you to be better than them. So that dream they sold you, that land of the free, that idea, that vision that you come here, you work, provide for your family, and all that you ever wanted in your heart, your desires will truly be fulfilled. Be careful what you wish for. The grass isn't greener on the other side. Sometimes you're better off back home. Back home where you really, really are accepted as a person. Certainly more than the outside world, at least. But this is my take on the situation. You can't beat hate, especially hate that comes from people in power, with any sort of means besides really knowing who you are. You put your hands on somebody because they said something to you, whether that be a slur or something you didn't like, there's going to be a big problem. Because you have that person has you right where they want you. Right in the system. Registered, incarcerated, and labeled. And let me tell you something, if you are a person of color and you come to the Western world, that stamp they put on you, that stamp is set for the bottom. For as long as you follow the system and agree that you can just sit back and be spoon-fed with lies. I'm not going to go into detail on my own experiences, but I can account for many people I know who have felt absolutely lost devastated and lack a reasonable sense of direction. Here's how the world works, and it's really simple. I want you to think about the opposite of what I'm saying. The rich get richer. And there are multiple ways to, or let me say there's one way, two ways, perhaps multiple avenues, but I'm going to outline two towards getting into that bracket, because I know everybody's dream inside is to be amongst that promised land where you're promised a house that you can afford. Not a house in the projects where the government owns you and can kick you out on a simple basis like smoking a cigarette. Or walk on the street freely without feeling intimidated or profiled based on annoying, disgusting, and horrible stereotypes created by the Western world based on the images that they provide on TV. And who controls that TV? The rich. So let me tell you how you can oppose this problem and you can solve this by yourself. Get yourself a proper sense of mentality. Do not even think for a single second that by running away from who you truly are and your firm roots is going to provide a solution. Do not even believe in what they tell you on TV. They say the lion climbing the mountain is as great as the lion at the top. And right now you're climbing that mountain and they're throwing stones at you. They don't want to see you up there. Simply because of your color. My question is, what are you going to do about it?